to expand the capability of Ringtail to manage work product, case management, chronology, other stuff like that beyond documents, we're introducing the data models feature. So a data model allows a case administrator to define different categories, or what we're calling entities, beyond just documents. And then each entity can have its own set of coding fields, templates, and other configuration like that. And then entities can be connected to each other. So a set of connected entities is what constitutes a data model. For example, in this case, we define a data model that includes the entities trial, motion, complaint, and order. So instead of searching for documents, like I normally would, I can choose to search for items that belong to one of these other entities. For example, let's say I want to bring up a list of all the trials we have. When I select trial as the entity context, the fields I can search on change accordingly. If I open up the field chooser here, you'll see I have trial fields. If I search for trial ID has a value, it'll bring up the list of all the trials, just like a search for document ID has a value, it would bring up a list of all the documents. Now you can see that I have my Ringtail workspace set up here with 3 panes. There's the list on the left, the conditional coding pane on the right, and the related pane in the center. The related pane shows the related items of the different entities in the data model for the currently selected item. So here I can see that the lay trial binder is connected to 2 complaints and 3 motions and 2 orders. The conditional coding pane shows me the details for the trial item, and I could change them here if I wanted to. So these are coding fields just like document coding fields would be. If I want to add a new trial item, I could simply click Add Trial Item here in the list. So this is really easy to do inline to develop this kind of work product. If I click on one of these other items in the related pane, for example, this first amended complaint here, its details will load in the conditional coding pane, and then I could edit those here. If I want to switch my context and work with a list of all the motions I see here connected to the current trial, I can click Load These Motion Items. Now we have the list populated with the motions, and I can see the related pane over here shows the related trial. So I've basically flipped my context from trials with its related items to motions with its related items. These other buttons in the related pane allow me to create new related items on the fly. So just like I could create a new standalone one here, I could create a new one and automatically relate it to the current motion I have selected here. And I can also connect to existing ones that already are out there. I can also remove the connections by clicking disconnect. All right, let's go back to search. I can search for things based on their relationships. So trial and motion and such were entities in the data model that we set up here for demonstration purposes. Ringtail also gives you several entities automatically in the system data model, namely custodian, document, of course, organization, person, and user. So document, I'm sure we're already familiar with. Custodian, person, and organization relate to the people and organization and custodian field coding for documents. And user is the Ringtail user. So for example, me here. Let's say we want to search for people. I'll select person as the entity to search for. Now I get fields related to person, and I also get document fields. This means I can search for people based on criteria for the documents that the people are related to. And if I scroll all the way down, I can see I can also search for people based on criteria for the organizations that the people are related to, since these entities are connected in the data model. So for example, let's say I want to search for people related to the organization Enron. I'll choose organization name as the field, put in enron.com. I can see here in my results, I have about 900 people that are associated with Enron. In the related pane, I can see the related documents and organization for each person. I can also see coding fields that are set up for the person. Data models allows us to treat each of these items, person, organization, custodian, user, as complex objects that can themselves be coded and then searched for and analyzed the way that we're familiar with for documents. You can see that here we created a yes/no field to indicate whether each person is an attorney. I can go back to my search and target it to just find people from Enron who are identified as attorneys by adding attorney is yes to the search. And now I found these two that were identified that way. If I wanted to find all of the documents associated with these people, I could return to my search and change the entity context to document, and then search for attorney is yes from the people fields. Since document is related to person, what this search is doing is searching for all documents that are related to a person who's identified as an attorney, which is a fairly complex idea, but we're doing it all with one very simple search criterion here. And for documents, you'll note that the related pane shows both the related documents, so that's family members, thread members, and similar documents, and then also the related entity items. If I click over here, and you'll see that for documents, in addition to person and organization, we also set it up with some other entities for evidence and requests. So hopefully this gives a good sense of some of the potential of the data models feature. There's obviously a lot it can do for a number of different use cases. We mentioned evidence tracking, production tracking, case fact and chronology management, deposition preparation, and I'm sure folks will have lots more ideas as well. It's very flexible. We're continuing to add features to this as well and make it even more powerful. So we're obviously always open for feedback on particular use cases or what kind of features that would really help make a difference.